Howdy all, Moglox Lives. I think it's time to play a little 7 Days to Die. Alright. Apparently I was out doing a little looting. When I logged off last time. I know that I was working on some farm blocks. And I need, what? Some clay and probably some rotten flesh. Are probably the couple of things that I really, really need. I can always use some meat. What is this? Oh, it's a construction site. Interesting. Pretty busy yesterday. I finished, I guess, man, I don't know when I finished watching Discovery. I finished Discovery, the 4 seasons that are out, and I know I've been talking about that the last couple of episodes. So I definitely felt that season 2 and season 4 were the better seasons overall. The first season was okay. I feel like their storylines tend to be weak when it gets to the end, unfortunately. And so, it's a lot of crawlies. So like the first season, spoilers, the first season, right, was the weakest. Although I think the ending for season 3 was the dumbest. Overall, I enjoyed the show. I know at one point I said it was okay, but I've raised my okay because it did get better. But man, that first season was not great. It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. I'm not saying it was a terrible show. I'm just saying that for the things that went down, I felt like it could have been better. It could have played out a lot better. It was, I don't know. There's a weird, I don't know. The show was just a little weird in its story pacings, I guess. Um, so like season one was all about this Klingon war, right? And so it started off pretty good. I was enjoying that, and then as it went, by episode 3, oh, I thought I heard a terrible, terrible creature. You know, it completely changed the tone of the show. Like, you kind of expect that from Star Trek. All right. Most Star Trek series are um, episodic, and there might be a big overarching storyline, but for the most part, your individual couple of episodes are going to be a self-contained story. An episode, maybe 2 episodes, right? They don't tend to bleed into each other like a serialized show would. And but something major might go down that changes the character, and then that character would remain changed. It's not one of those shows where it doesn't matter what happens to the character; they're always just going to come back as who they are. And so I really feel like my mouse is going bad. I'm gonna have to buy a new mouse. I've been fighting with it for a long time now, and it's just not getting. I mean, it's better, but it also isn't completely better. Uh, so, ooh, chicken, come here, chicken. So they started off with the starting this war with the Klingons, and then the main character. Whoa, this chicken is like super powered. That other chicken went down with one hit. This one took 3. And so the they kind of switched gears, and then they started working with this mycelium drive, which is the teleportation drive they use in the Discovery, which is a whole nother weird thing that went down. And so then so it switched this whole like scientific exploration thing where they were trying to figure out how to make this mycelium drive work. And then and then they went to the Mirrorverse, right? Star Trek's got this mirror universe. I don't know if I've been. Yeah, okay. I was thinking I'd been in here, but Star Trek's got this whole mirror universe thing, and so um, they went there and picked up the duplicate of the captain that got killed in the second episode. And so the people in the mirror universe, right, are Terrans. They're not humans, and so they operate a bit differently. They're not necessarily evil. They just don't think the same way that a human does, and so they come across as much more bloodthirsty and violent, I guess. And that's all fine. I don't have a problem with any of that. But what got weird was they go through this whole thing with this Klingon war, and and I talked about that one character who seemed so important just vanished, and then he came back, and they had turned a Klingon into a human that couldn't be detected as a Klingon, even though Klingons have different organs and DNA or whatever than a human would. I don't understand. And then the show is like, we don't understand. And I'm like, okay, you can't say you did it and then say you don't understand how it happened. Like, I mean, they know who did it, but they don't understand how it worked. And they never explain how you can make a Klingon think it's a human and change its body to the point where it looks and acts human and is detectable as human. There's scarring around all your organs. Yeah, good. But how much scarring would there have to be on his organs to make them look like different organs? Right? Uh how do they make his different organs pump different blood? You know, like how does bone marrow, if Klingons have bone marrow, suddenly start producing human blood? Uh, and on top of that, somehow they were able to push a human personality and consciousness and memories that they somehow had into this body that doesn't that was Klingon but now is 100% human. I don't know. I thought that was a very dumb thing. Like I don't remember Star Trek being so like science magic, right? Uh I mean, I'll admit it's been a while since I really watched through a Star Trek series, but there's some weird stuff that goes down they can't explain, like time travel and things like that. But usually they come up with some kind of theory where they try to figure it out, and this is just like magic. He's now a human, and I'm just like, okay. Um, but yeah, so they bring this Terran woman in, right? And so the storyline, a little quirky, and they really, I mean, the mycelium drive plays into this too. So they got this mycelium drive, and they're using it to teleport around the galaxy, and but it's killing the creature that they use as the navigation for it. And so it basically puts itself into hibernation so that it can't be used, and so they get rid of it. They just release it into space and let it go. And so then they're trying to figure out how to get this mycelium drive right to go back again. And so one of the characters injects himself with DNA from the creature and somehow bonds that DNA with his own DNA, which allows him to be the navigation, right? And so then that might have been season 2 when that had to happen. Somewhere in there, they had to make like 130 jumps within just a couple of minutes. Oh no, that was the first season, because they were trying to get the radiation signatures from a Klingon cloaking device so that they would be able to detect cloaked Klingon ships. And so, I found potato. I found potato. This is very important. This is one of the most important discoveries for me, because potatoes are hard to get your hands on. Blueberry plant, not so much, but I'll take it while I'm here. This is awesome. This is awesome. All right, I'm going to take my potato back and see about getting some potatoes planted now. So they get to the end of this season, right? Right. So they teleport all around, and then it's killing the guy who is the navigator, right? It flat out kills him actually, and they're trying to pour energy back into his brain. Basically, it drained all the electricity out of his neurons to control this mycelium drive, and so they are trying to feed the electricity back into his brain by using the mycelium network, and it doesn't completely work, right? So it's a big thing, like bleeding out your nose, convulsions. Every time they used it on the creature would cry out in pain, right? Until it finally, it was a tardigrade, a water bear, and they have this. They're a real thing, but on the show it was giant. In real life, they're microscopic. And so they have a thing where they can suspend themselves by squeezing all the water out of their bodies, and so it did that, right? And I'm going to that red dot, and that's not even my base. And so it's just really weird that this guy was just like, oh yeah, it's killing me. It's killing you. You can't keep doing it. And then after they do that, they never again mention how difficult it is to use that drive. and they use it all the time. They never again after that episode ever have problems using the drive. And I'm just like, what happened? That was such a big deal. So he died, and then they shocked him back to life, and then he's all good now. And and so that's the kind of things that were in the show that I'm just like, okay, okay, magic hand waving, not in a way that it ever even occurred. Star Trek's usually better than the. Maybe not. Maybe Star Trek's always been like this. I don't know. I just, in my mind, I remember it being more scientific, I guess, in its science fiction and less hand wavy. And so, uh, I thought that was a billboard. That's my base. And so, yeah, and so they get to the end of this first season, and they solve the Klingon war by basically the Terran general. She makes a bomb that's going to blow up the homeworld of the Klingons. That's how she ended it when she was the empress of the Terran Empire, apparently. And so that's what they were going to do, or that's what she was going to do. And they stopped her, and then they gave the bomb to this Klingon who was maybe on their side, and decided that she should be the empress of the Klingons. And so now that she has the bomb, she can threaten everybody to make them, you know. Also, was really weird was they went to the Klingon homeworld. That's not weird to go to Klingon homeworld. No, what's weird is they went to the Klingon homeworlds and humans live there. All sorts of races live on the Klingon homeworld. And I'm just like, what? I don't know about you suddenly having just rando people living on the Klingon homeworlds. Um, that just it seems. Nope, I thought I was on the blueberries. I was on the cornmeal. It just seems a little off to me, right? And it just suddenly got dark as dark. Still didn't find a headlamp. So, oh, because it starts raining, right, right. Oh, I haven't made those yet. Okay. I should have done my seeds before I did my other things. And so I thought that was a weak ending. Like I don't know. It seemed like a weak ending. And then season 2 I thought was a lot better. Season 2 was there was a rogue AI, and it wanted the information that Discovery had gotten from this dying giant sphere creature thing. And it had 100,000 years of exploration information that it gave the Discovery. And strangely enough, the information's almost never mentioned again, aside from the fact that they have information on AI. And the rogue Federation AI wants that data, wants it bad. And so it's killing everybody to try and get to that data, because they get a message from the future, because the second season's all about time travel. And well, it's all about time travel in this rogue AI. And so the message from the future is they have to stop the AI from getting its hands on this data. Otherwise, all life in the galaxy will end. And so, that's not what I wanted to click on. And so they fight with that thing, and I definitely like that season better than the first one. And they end up figuring out, what the what the Red Angel time traveler person is, um, and then at the end of it, to stop the AI from getting its hand, because it's winning. Like, it's, if you have something that's taking over all the vessels and remotely controlling them, it's just flat out winning. And so they take a gamble that they can jump the ship forward in time using the technology they stole from the Red Angel, basically. Uh, and uh, and so that's what they do, is they jump Discovery forward 1,000 years, which gives the people in present day enough time um, to take down the AI so that it doesn't exist in the future. And then because it didn't get its hands on the data, it doesn't become this, you know, unstoppable killing machine, basically. So like that season had a much better storyline overall than the first one. Uh, I just it came across to me as less silly um, than the first one, and so I like the overarching storyline they had going. It's it's still, it's not very Star Trek like, because Star Trek doesn't do big single season storylines usually like this. And then uh, and then the third season, I really wanted to like the third season um, because I love the whole concept of they're jumped forward, and so in the future they can't go back now, and they're trapped in a post Federation galaxy, and on top of that, warp drives don't work for most people. It doesn't matter to Discovery, because Discovery has a teleportation drive that lets them go anywhere that they have coordinates for, basically. And so, yeah, that one started out pretty good, and I liked seeing the post Federation galaxy, um, and all the stuff that was going on there, but uh, they ended with the silliest ending for the season, which was dilithium was running out, and so they were looking for dilithium, and then the burn happened, which made all dilithium inert, which somehow caused all dilithium driven spacecraft to explode. Now I'm very confused at the at one point in the show. I'm pretty sure they said it went unstable, which I totally could understand. If all your fuel went unstable in your warp cores, that your warp cores would explode. But I don't know how the reactive material in your warp core going inert would then make your warp core explode, because it would no longer have the power to explode. I would think they would just shut down. So I don't know. I felt like that was a mistake in the writing. Um, but when they got there, they figured out where the burn started. I don't know what I want to put my points into. I know I need to expand my engineering so I can get to steel, but I haven't even really got into iron yet, so I'm not as concerned about that. Uh, I need steel to get into the motorcycle. I've gotten into punching a lot, so I definitely want to put more points into my fortitude. So maybe I'll just go with that. I'll spend my 2 points on fortitude. So yeah, it's it they'd sent out a science vessel to search for dilithium, and they found a planet made of dilithium inside of a nebula, but the nebula was radioactive, and the dilithium is radioactive. And one of the scientists on board was pregnant, and the radiation mutated her baby, and they crashed. The ship broke down, and they couldn't get a signal out because of all the radiation was distorting the signal. And so the child grew up on board a vessel where everybody was dying from radiation. And the mother used holograms. Basically, it turned the ship into a holodeck and used that to hide what was happening. And then the kid wandered out of the holodeck and saw his mother dying from the radiation. And when she died, he screamed, and it released a wave of energy from him that destabilized all the dilithium in the galaxy. I'm like, that is dumb, because we've had this race in the show since the first episode, the Kelpians. At no point have Kelpians ever exhibited any kind of psychic abilities. Um, so I don't understand how it's suddenly. I like that it's nighttime, but the rain quits and now it's bright out. And but I don't understand how the um, kid suddenly developed these abilities. Like, it doesn't make any sense. There's no reason for him to suddenly be that powerful. And oh man, you know what? I was gonna put a stairway out here. I guess that's fine. I like to go up on my roof, and I was gonna put a stairway out here. Let me see if I can make some stairs. Stairs. Really? What are they called then? There's not know how? I mean, I could just do a ladder, but I guess I'll just do ladders since I have those on me. And so then, yeah, so that was the end of that season. Was basically they found this kid and got him out, and it was dumb. I it was dumb. He wasn't a kid anymore. He was an adult, and he almost caused a second burn. Uh, this says wood fence and railings. Okay. None of that is fence. Simple, advanced, on faced, I'll rotate. What is this? What does this mean? Nope. What does this mean? Those must be the different rotation styles. But none of this is a railing. I wanted a railing. Oh, what do we do here? Look, you don't... I don't like it. How do I go around the corner? I made all this stuff, and now I can't go around the corner. Oh. Bent. What's bent? It doesn't look bent. It looks exactly the same. Oh, there's gaps in it. I see. Okay. That's what they meant. Okay. Well, I don't like that. I must need another book to be able to do my thing. Anyways, I gotta finish this real quick. So then season four was a lot better. Season four might be the best season so far. And that one was a giant gravity machine came and was mining materials, but it was destroying planets, and it came from a civilization that was way more advanced than anything in the Federation's galaxies that they've come across. And um, so uh, they uh, then they had this crazy scientist guy who thought he could use the power source from the machine to teleport himself to another universe. And so a lot of it was just the two different groups trying to figure out what was going on and then stop the crazy scientist guy from killing everybody. It was a much more a much better ending, I guess, that fit in with the theme of the overarching thing. It wasn't just like, oh, we'll never stop the Klingons. We need the Discovery to stop the Klingons. Oh, we got a bomb. Hey, Klingons, we're gonna blow up your home planet, and that's how we're gonna win. Okay, so none of that actually needed the Discovery. Like none of that needed the Discovery. Anybody could have smuggled a bomb onto the homeworld. I don't know why that had needed the Discovery. Or I mean, the time travel one was pretty good. Uh, but then season three was like, oh yeah, there's this kid in the nebula and he caused it, and I don't know why we even need to get him out. Uh, he could have just simply died there and no one would ever know, and there was no reason to even. I mean, I guess they got a planet made of dilithium, which allowed them to restart the Federation, basically. But then season four was a lot better because that had good storyline, good ending. They've blown up whole planets full of people. Although with the mycelium drive again, right, only that one guy can power or navigate the mycelium drive, and then they bring in this other guy, and he comes from a whole race of people that apparently can work with mycelium uh, to navigate. And so they use him as a navigator a couple of times, and then they blow up his planet, so he's the only one of his kind left. I'm like, okay, uh, like they're trying to duplicate the mycelium drive, and so they need navigators. They've got two, and then at the end of season four, though, they're just like, yeah, you got to go on because he joined with the crazy scientist. You got to go community service for us. I'm like, no, they would press him into being the navigator for a new mycelium-driven ship. I don't know what you guys are going to do. There's a whole thing about the mycelium being a sentient creature and how they were killing it by passing through it sometimes, and they just completely ignore all that storyline at some point. But yeah, so Discovery, I like seasons 2 and 4 the best. 4 might be the best one so far. I started watching the cartoon Lower Decks. That's okay. It's not really my kind of humor for the most part, but it's okay. And then, like I said, yesterday was pretty busy for me. I finally got out and got the trench dug. Ugh, it was so much work. 40-foot trench through the lawn. We dug it with shovels, and but it buried my cable, and then we had all these bags of concrete that they had purchased for another project that they never did, and so we went through the bags of concrete trying to find one that was still, you know, powder. But no, they were all They were all just big blocks of concrete at that point. No powder to put up my pole. So I didn't get my pole put up, but I did get my cable buried for the most part. I need to dig a little bit more at the end of it where it's going to connect in because I haven't put the pole in, so I don't know exactly where that's all got to be dug out yet. But yeah, I feel a lot better having my cable under the grass instead of on top of the grass. Um, and it did take us like 4 hours to get all that done because I had to go out and I had to measure to make sure it was all going to fit. I had to work here in the house. I had to finish running the cable through the ceiling because it just was draped down. I haven't put the ceiling tile back, but I just had it draping through the open ceiling tile, right? And so I had to run it down and through the ceiling tile over to where we were gonna um, connect it to the modem and stuff, and then run all that cable outside, and then I had to get out my trimmer, which was a giant hassle. I sliced the side of my leg open, uh, trying to get through all the junk that they've piled on top of my tools again. And got out the trimmer. I had to trim all the plants and stuff from around the house where I needed to dig and run the cable. And then, of course, I started putting all the conduit on the cable because one end is in the house and the other end is outside. I can only put it on from the outside. And so I'm feeding these pieces of conduit on, and then they're like, "Oh, we don't want it that way. We want you to change it." And I'm like, "Well, I was just gonna run it this other way." Like, yeah, but it'd be better if you put some more conduit over here. And I'm like, fine. So then I had to take that all back off and then feed it all back on. And then it doesn't even fit on there the way they wanted it to fit on there. I don't know why somebody else needs to be telling me how to do my project, actually. I was just going to run it along the side out in the open and use some cable anchors to hold it against the wall. And then they decided it'd be better if I used conduit to run it along the wall, except that I didn't buy any conduit anchors, and so the pipe is just dangling at the moment. So now I've got to go buy some conduit anchors, um, so I can mount that against the wall, so it's not just dangling. And but yeah, it was a lot of work, to dig all that up. Our soil is the heaviest clay soil ever, I think. Like, it might as well just be clay. And so digging up a 40-foot trench of that was terrible. And, well, yeah. So I said I was going to try and get to work on that this weekend, and I did. Now we'll see. It might be next weekend when we get the pole put up at this point. Oh, man. Yeah, we also sat through. My nephew had a early birthday party for him and his friends, and they came over, and so they were so noisy this whole weekend. But yeah, we had pizza like 4 days in a row. It was great. I love pizza. Uh, all right, well, with that, be better than the small things, lean in the light. I will talk to you later.